Every morning, millions of seniors wake up and do the exact same thing. They sit up quickly, put their feet on the floor, and shuffle straight to the bathroom or the kitchen to start their day. And most of them have no idea that this simple routine may be putting dangerous stress on their heart. I'm Dr. Silas Redford Wellness, and today I need to share something that stopped me in my tracks during a recent review of Harvard clinical research. A team of cardiologists looked closely at the first hour after waking up, and what they found has nothing to do with diet, medication, or exercise. It has everything to do with timing, blood pressure, and one hidden mistake that seniors make before their feet even hit the floor. Let me tell you about Elaine. She is 72 years old. She walks 2 miles most afternoons. She watches her salt intake, and she has never missed a yearly physical. But every morning for the past 3 years, Elaine felt a strange squeezing sensation in her chest about 10 minutes after getting out of bed. She mentioned it to her doctor, who ran tests and found nothing obvious. So Elaine convinced herself it was just anxiety or getting older. Then one morning, she sat up fast because the phone was ringing, and within seconds she felt dizzy, nauseous, and so weak she had to sit back down on the edge of the bed. That was the morning her daughter rushed her to the emergency room. And here is what the cardiologist explained to Elaine that most seniors never realize until it is too late. The moment you go from lying down to standing up, your blood vessels have to squeeze, and your heart has to pump harder to push blood upward against gravity. This is called orthostatic stress. For a young, healthy person, the body adjusts in seconds. But for someone over 55, especially if you have stiffening arteries or borderline blood pressure, that adjustment can take much longer. And here is the part that Harvard doctors are now warning about. During that first minute after standing, your systolic blood pressure can briefly spike by 20 to 40 points. That spike is usually silent. You do not feel it. But inside your arteries, that sudden pressure wave hits the walls like a hammer. And if your morning routine adds even more stress on top of that spike, you could be setting yourself up for a cardiac event before you have even had your first sip of coffee. What happened next in the Harvard research shocked the team. They discovered that certain common morning habits dramatically worsen this blood pressure spike. And the worst part is, most seniors have been told these habits are healthy. For example, many people wake up and immediately drink a large glass of cold water. They think it is refreshing. But cold water causes the blood vessels in your stomach and intestines to constrict suddenly, which increases peripheral resistance and forces your heart to work even harder. Combine that with the natural morning blood pressure surge that every human experiences between 6 and 10 a.m., and you have created a perfect storm inside your cardiovascular system. One cardiologist on the research team described it like this: "It is like stepping on the gas pedal while your foot is already pressing the brake." Let me slow this down so it is crystal clear. Every human body has a natural daily rhythm called the circadian cycle. Around the time you wake up, your brain releases hormones like cortisol and adrenaline to get you ready for the day. These hormones naturally raise your blood pressure and heart rate. This is normal. This is actually helpful because it wakes you up. But here is what doctors rarely explain. For seniors, this natural morning surge is much more dramatic. And if you add any sudden movement, cold temperature, dehydration, or stress within the first 30 minutes after waking, you can push that surge into a dangerous zone. In a moment, I will explain exactly how to fix your morning routine without medication and without expensive gadgets. But first, I need to ask you something. If you are watching this and you have ever felt dizzy, breathless, or heavy in the chest after getting out of bed, please do me a favor. Hit the like button right now. It helps this life-saving information reach another senior who might be making the same mistake without knowing it. And if you have not already, go ahead and subscribe to Dr. Silas Redford Wellness so you never miss these critical updates. Now let me give you a real example that will make all of this click. Robert is 68 years old. He is retired, he is active, and he takes a low-dose blood pressure pill every night before bed. Robert's morning routine for the past 20 years has been the same. Alarm goes off, he sits up fast, swings his legs over the side of the bed, stands up immediately, and walks straight to the bathroom where he turns on the hot shower and brushes his teeth while the water warms up. Robert thought he was doing everything right. He stays hydrated, he exercises, he sees his doctor regularly. But Robert started having episodes where his vision would go dark for a few seconds after standing. His doctor told him it was probably dehydration. It was not dehydration. It was a rapid drop in blood pressure, followed by a reactive spike, a phenomenon called autonomic dysfunction. And it was happening because Robert was asking his nervous system to do too much too fast. Stay with me because this next part is the most important thing you will hear today. The Harvard team measured blood pressure every minute for the first hour after waking in over 4,000 seniors. They found that the people who sat on the edge of the bed for 2 to 3 minutes before standing had significantly smaller blood pressure spikes. But the people who truly protected their hearts did one more thing. They did not stand up until they had wiggled their toes, flexed their ankles, and gently pumped their calf muscles a few times while still sitting. Why does this work? Because your calf muscles are often called your second heart. When you contract them, they squeeze blood back upward toward your chest, which reduces the workload on your actual heart. This simple muscle pumping action, done while still seated, can cut your morning blood pressure surge by nearly half. The cardiologists call it a natural blood pressure buffer, and it costs nothing, requires no equipment, and takes less than 60 seconds. But there is another hidden danger that almost nobody talks about. After you stand up, what is the very next thing most seniors do? They walk to the bathroom, which is often cool or cold. Then they might sit on a cold toilet seat. Then they might stand up again quickly. Then they might lean forward to look in the mirror or reach for a towel. Each one of these movements causes another small blood pressure spike. And if you have plaque buildup in your arteries, each spike creates microscopic cracks in that plaque. Your body tries to heal those cracks by forming tiny clots. That is normal. The problem happens when a clot grows large enough to block blood flow. That is a heart attack or a stroke. And it often happens in the morning because the morning hours are when your blood is thickest and stickiest due to natural overnight dehydration. This is not fear-mongering. This is physiology. This is why more cardiac events happen between 6 and 10 a.m. than at any other time of day. I want you to imagine something for a moment. Imagine your arteries are like garden hoses. When you first turn on the water after the hose has been sitting overnight, the pressure is highest at that first burst. If the hose is old and stiff, that first burst can cause tiny leaks. That is what happens inside your arteries every morning. But here's the good news. You have more control than you think. You are not helpless. Your body wants to protect you, but you have to give it a little time and a little kindness in those first few minutes after waking. So let me give you the exact morning routine that the Harvard researchers now recommend for anyone over 55, especially if you have high blood pressure, diabetes, or any history of heart issues. When you wake up, do not sit up yet. First, take 3 slow, deep breaths while lying flat. This activates your vagus nerve, which calms your heart rate. Then slowly roll to your side and use your arm to push yourself up into a seated position on the edge of the bed. Stay seated for a full 2 minutes. While seated, wiggle your toes, flex your ankles up and down 10 times, and gently squeeze your calf muscles. Then stand up slowly. Stand still for 10 seconds before you take your first step. And here is the secret that most doctors do not have time to tell you. Before you walk to the bathroom, stretch your arms overhead once. That stretch opens up your rib cage and allows your heart to fill more easily with blood. Now, what about that glass of water everyone talks about? Yes, hydration matters, but do not drink cold water. Drink room temperature water or warm water with a squeeze of lemon. Warm water does not cause the blood vessel constriction that cold water does, and do not chug it. Take small sips over 5 to 10 minutes, and please wait at least 15 minutes after waking before you have any caffeine. Caffeine spikes blood pressure within 30 minutes. If you combine that with your natural morning surge, you are doubling the stress on your heart. Switch to decaf for that first cup, or better yet, have a small glass of warm lemon water first, then wait, then have your coffee. I know some of you are thinking, but doctor, I have been doing my morning routine for decades, and nothing bad has happened yet. Let me say this gently. That is exactly what Elaine said. That is exactly what Robert said. The human body is incredibly resilient. It compensates and adapts for years, but there comes a moment when the compensation runs out. And that moment often comes without warning. A sudden phone call, a barking dog, a spill on the floor, anything that makes you jump or move too fast. That one extra spike on top of an already stressed system can be the tipping point. You do not need to live in fear. You just need to make small adjustments. I'm going to share something personal now. My own father, who is 83, used to jump out of bed every morning like a firefighter responding to an alarm. He was proud of it. He said it showed he still had energy. Then one morning he stood up too fast, passed out, and hit his head on the nightstand. He was fine eventually, but the CT scan showed something we did not expect. He had tiny white matter changes in his brain from repeated small drops in blood pressure over the years. His doctor explained that every time you feel dizzy after standing, your brain is briefly starved of oxygen. Do that every morning for 10 years, and you cause real damage. My father changed his routine that same week, and 6 months later, his energy was better, his thinking was sharper, and his blood pressure readings in the morning were 20 points lower without any change in medication. Here is the truth that most senior health videos will not tell you. You do not need a complicated morning routine. You do not need expensive supplements or special devices. You need time. You need to give your blood vessels and your nervous system 2 to 3 minutes to wake up before you ask them to work. That is it. That is the entire secret. And the reason this advice is so powerful is that almost nobody follows it. Everyone rushes. Everyone is in a hurry. Everyone thinks that lying in bed for a few extra minutes is lazy. But what if I told you that those 2 minutes on the edge of your bed could add years to your life? What if that small pause is actually the most productive thing you do all day? Before we close today, I want to leave you with something to think about. Your heart has beaten for you every single second of your entire life without taking a single vacation. It has pumped blood while you slept, while you worked, while you worried, and while you celebrated. That faithful muscle deserves a gentle start to its day. It deserves a few minutes of transition between sleep and waking. So tomorrow morning, when your alarm goes off, do not jump, do not rush, do not immediately stand. Just breathe, just sit, just wiggle your toes, and then stand slowly. Your heart will thank you. And years from now, when you are still healthy, still independent, and still enjoying your mornings, you will look back and realize that this tiny change was one of the best gifts you ever gave yourself. If this message meant something to you today, please share this video with someone you love. Send it to your spouse, your sibling, your neighbor, or your adult children. They need to understand this too, and I would love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me what time you usually wake up. Tell me one small change you are going to make tomorrow morning. Your story might encourage someone else who is struggling to make that first change. This is Dr. Silas Redford Wellness, reminding you that the smallest habits often create the biggest miracles. Take care of your heart, and I will see you in the next video.